Meet Sugar. She's beautiful, in chains, and she's busting out, shackled to the steamy cane fields of a tropical inferno. They're women, they're warm, they're wildcats.
Hey, black gal! You gonna get Mojo some of your stuff?
I don't mess around with bush bunnies.
Hung up, strung out. The searing sting of the whip burned a brand of hate into her heart. Their world of plantation, their battleground, a tropical inferno. She can cut any man down to size.
Listen to me! We can take this place! Let's go!
Warm hands, cold trigger, blazing death. An epidemic of machine gun madness. 38 caliber kittens spitting death as they claw their way to freedom. Nothing can hold her. Not chains, not bars or men. Sweet Sugar.
All right, we're back with
we're back
with some with the real trashy movie today, which I don't recommend for cat lovers.
No.
But I got to tell you, that one scene, I laughed out loud real hard by myself. They probably thought I was insane or something if they heard me. I forgot about that. I was like, what the heck? Anyway,
I was watching it. And
don't let your cat watch it. You know, cover her eyes.
She goes, "What the hell are you guys watching?" Well, first she says, "What are you watching this week?" And I, Sweet Sugar, and she's watching it for a couple of seconds. She's like, "You guys are." And I'm like, "Hey, this is what 14-year-old boys watch."
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet Sugar. I first saw this on what's that show? Up All Night.
Oh God.
Remember that show with Rhonda Shear on
yeah.
And it was edited. But
Yeah.
I remember the cat scene. I was like, what? I mean, I guess that Up All Night show has fans, but I thought it was kind of pointless to show TNA movies without the TNA, but okay,
Yeah.
It's almost as pointless as it is to do a spy comedy with porno actors, and they don't do what they're good at, which is another movie that I tried to. Did you try to watch this thing, or was it just me?
I started watching it, and the same thing. I'm like, I'll do it later, and then never go.
We tried to do something called Linda Lovelace Secret Agent, and the most pointless movie I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it had all actors from porn, and they were just doing like a goofy spy comedy with the kind of. I never was a big fan of Linda Lovelace anyway, and she's supposed to be the hottie in the movie. I was like, okay, whatever. Harry Reams mugging it up and, having like the hugest handlebar mustache I've ever seen in my life. But
you remember hearing about Deep Throat?
It's called Deep Throat too, wasn't it? Like when it came out originally.
Yeah, something like that. But I remember hearing about her and like, ooh, this is back then when there was no internet or anything. And I'm thinking like, oh, she's got to be some really hot looking chick, because everybody was going on.
Yeah.
Some adults I know had gone to see it, and I remember the first time I saw a picture of her, and I'm like, that's Linda Lovelace? I mean, she's not hideous, but she's far from
hot.
Yeah.
She's like average looking, whatever.
Yeah.
She's okay, but I mean, she's not an actress, and it was this thing's on Tubi, by the way. So if you all want to check it out, go right ahead. But you've been warned. It's a real nice copy of it too. I'm surprised because Tubi is infamous for hey,
that
they got
bad.
this movie, and then when you see the movie, it's like, oh, it's a YouTube third generation from VHS bad digitized copy or whatever. So yes, Tubi is good, but they're sketchy too. And another warning to people out there, maybe not on everything, but if you ever go on Tubi and you say, hey, I like that movie, and you see the beginning of it, and the company that's quote unquote producing it is called Shoreline Entertainment, beware, because they
Oh
just
God.
they just a lot of time, not always. There's been a few things that I watched that were okay, but man, they just get bootleg copies and pop them on there, and I don't know if they're claiming ownership or whatever. There's a weird thing going on, especially on YouTube, where like public domain movies are being claimed as owned by probably Nigerian princes or Russian oligarchs or whatever. I'm just joking, and they're not. They're public domain movies, but YouTube takes it as oh yeah, they're claiming ownership, so you got to take it down. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But at any rate, yeah, Linda Lovelace. There was another movie with her called Linda Lovelace for President, believe it or not.
Yeah. I
And I
tried to
think
watch
Mickey
that
Dolenz was
too,
in
and
that one.
I tried to watch that too. It was like, yeah, there was a time when,
She was a big star for a while there.
yeah, and porn was seen as,
Porno chic, they called it.
yeah, not necessarily legit, but acceptable in certain
In the
crowds.
70s.
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah,
So,
remember, what was it? Andy Warhol's Frankenstein, rated X. Andy Warhol's Dracula, rated X. Alice in Wonderland, rated X. And there was a couple of other ones. Yeah, I saw some of them in the theaters, by the way, and they were they were sleazy, but,
yeah, pretty tame.
pretty campy too, especially
Yeah,
the Dracula and the Frankenstein. They're pretty silly. Gory, but silly.
gory and but yeah, and it was just like camp for camp's sake, and
Yeah, and Andy Warhol had nothing to do with it. They just like put his name on it because he was buddies, I think, with the director Paul Morrissey, I believe. I don't know. I think they were shot in Italy anyway, and Italian director, I believe, and the Italian director Antonio Margheriti shot some of the movies. So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll watch one, but I don't know if we will or not because
yeah,
those are a little rougher than this Linda Lovelace thing.
yeah,
I just couldn't. I lost track of the story. I was like, oh look, there's that actress that does those movies, and she's got her clothes on, and she can act okay. These people were
yeah.
probably like they probably did theater or whatever, but they weren't making money at it, so they had to do you know the other porno so they could make big bucks or not big bucks, but I
I'm
don't
not
know, make a
sure.
living or
I'm
whatever.
not
I don't.
sure story was important to them when they were filming the movie.
I there was some trivia there that said like Harry Reid was supposed to be hired as a lighting director, and then that somebody didn't show up, so they gave him $100 to be in the movie. That's what he made for that movie, $100.
Wow, wow.
And the director is a guy named Joe Sarno who did a lot of softcore in the '70s, and I believe those movies were probably better than this thing. But
Wow.
anyway, so yeah, we tried, but we couldn't do it, and
Uh,
that is what it is. But then I just said, well, let's watch Sweet Sugar. I saw a nice copy of it on YouTube, and I remember seeing it on Up All Night a long time ago. God, that show was probably 40 years ago, man. That's
yeah,
ugh.
I know.
Anyway,
I know.
just think about that 40 years ago,
When you
and,
think back, like, the
and think
high
about your
school.
age now, and tell me,
Oh man,
what do you think you're gonna be doing in 40 years from now, huh?
I can't believe. I remember as a kid in the late '60s, early '70s, watching I Love Lucy, thinking, that took place in the '50s, which was like it seemed
70
like
years ago,
100 years ago. But
close.
now, I mean, if I look back to Seinfeld, which was in the '90s,
Yeah, that's 30 years ago.
that's oh yeah, 30 plus years ago. I'm like, holy crap!
There's a song by by a British folk singer, really great voice called Sandy Denny called "Who Knows Where the Time Goes," and yeah, she couldn't. Yeah, she knocked that out of the park.
Yeah.
She's the one who sang with Robert Plant on the Battle of Evermore on the
Okay.
Sandy Denny. Yeah, it's a tragic story. I watched a documentary on her in on YouTube, and it's a very tragic story. And believe it or not, we'll just go to Sweet Sugar now. We're done with Linda. I was reading about it. Did you? I didn't even know this. You know the blonde girl in the movie. What was her name? Something.
Dolores.
What was it? Oh God, I forgot her name.
Her name was
Yeah, yeah.
Pamela Collins.
Pamela Collins. She committed suicide. She
She
died at
did.
25. She died like
Oh,
a couple of years after making this movie. That's so sad. I just looked that up today. I was looking up. Let me find more about Pamela Collins because I was just looking up the actors, and I was like, oh man. That is sad. And Phyllis Davis passed away too, at least 10 years ago, which is sad too. But in reality, Phyllis Davis, the star of the movie, when she made that movie, she was already like, I think, 32. She looked younger than that. She looked pretty damn good for her age. But
she was in
she was in Vegas.
Vegas, and she was in Love American Style.
That's Phyllis
Oh,
Davis, yeah.
yeah, when she
But
was young.
Pamela Collins was in, I think she was in a Russ Meyer movie and a few other things like that. But I just saw that. I go, wow. I thought I had seen her in more movies, but she didn't do that much because they said she passed away. She's pills, you know. I don't
It's
know.
funny if you go to the Wikipedia website for Sweet Sugar, it lists Pamela Collins, and you follow the link, and it says Pamela Collins is an American psychiatrist. She's
Yeah,
director of. They
yeah,
have the
yeah.
wrong Pamela
Pamela
Collins.
White Collins. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got to IMDb it and look at it. Actually, the way I found out about it was I IMDb'd Sweet Sugar, and it took me to the actors, and I clicked on hers, and it said that trivia or whatever it was. And I was like, oh,
Jeez.
that's sad.
Wow.
It's sad. It's sad that you watch these movies and almost everybody's gone. You know,
Yeah, that's another thing. You
and
start to
these are '70s movies.
yeah, and you start to feel your mortality because, like, oh, they're gone. I watched them, and sometimes you look and you're like, oh, they're gone, and then you look up their age or when they were born, like, holy crap, they were younger than I was. You know?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, or like around my age, and I'm like, geez, I'm living on borrowed time or something.
No, well, you take into consideration that these are Hollywood types which probably party a
Yeah,
lot and did a lot of smoking and drinking and other
yeah,
things.
and you
You
wonder
know, they burn the
sometimes
candle at both
being
ends.
around all that stuff they do, special effects, which release certain chemicals and
Yeah, yeah,
you got to
yeah,
wonder if there's something there that's like because a lot of them die of cancer. You know,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
wondering if
Smoking, a lot of smoking.
yes,
You
a
know
lot
what
of
I mean?
smoking. Oh God, back then everybody was a freaking chimney.
Yeah. Even in the movies, everybody was a
Yeah,
chimney.
yeah, everybody in my family smoked except me,
Wow,
and
good for you.
everyone has some kind of problem. Like my one sister had was it COPD or CO
Oh, so sleeping
my and
problem.
my middle brother and my sister have or younger sister have heart issues, and
Oh
then
my.
they say that's what really hurts a lot of people is the smoking and stuff. It,
So your house, like when everybody was a teenager, was like a smoky place or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. In fact, if you one time something happened on the wall, and then and they wiped it off, and the wall became brighter. I'm like, oh, I guess we got to clean the walls.
Oh
That,
my, there's so
yeah,
much smoke residue that
yeah.
oh
Well, or you get in their cars, and the whole inside of the windscreen is filled is
oh
covered
wow.
with that oily.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I tried to smoke a couple of times and thankfully I never got into it. Somebody said, I told that to a guy who's a smoker and said, oh, you didn't inhale deep enough. I go, yeah, I'm glad I didn't because
Yeah,
I don't like smoking anyway. I don't like the feeling in my
no,
lungs.
I don't either. One time, I remember trying a cigar, and I didn't know how to smoke, so I inhaled deeply.
Oh, me too. Me too. And I
Oh
got
man,
sick.
I was like coughing for like 10 minutes
I got
straight.
sick. Yeah. That happened to me. Yeah. Some guy
Mm.
had a baby I was working with, and he went in the back room. He said, "Hey, have a cigar. Celebrate my kid." And yeah, the same thing happened. It was like, oh gosh. But anyway, getting back to Sweet Sugar, this is from 1972. This is one of them. This is one of them. There. Well, it's not really a woman in prison movie, but it's kind of a woman in the cane fields movie. I don't know. I
Well,
guess at the beginning of it, she gets framed for some like marijuana
right.
and some South American country or something. Did they give a location for this place?
No, I don't think so. Other than the sugar cane, but there's sugar cane all over.
Because at the beginning the police guys were Latins, but when she went to the cane fields, everybody was, well, not everybody. I guess the main actors were
Right.
English speaking or whatever. They weren't Latins, but at any rate, so she's given a chance to either go to prison and she takes she'd rather go to the cane fields for 2 years and
Right.
you know. Was she like a prostitute or something at the beginning of it, or did they
It,
specify?
you don't know because no money changed hands. You see her walking down the street with two guys, and then one guy, when they get to, I guess, like a hotel entrance, one guy sort of waves goodbye, and the other guy, she goes in with the other guy, and then they start kissing and smooching and stuff. And the guy says, "Well, pulls out a joint and gives it to her, and he says, "Oh, well, before we do this, I gotta take care of something." He leaves. She starts smoking, and then the guy comes in and says, "We're arresting you for marijuana possession." So you're not sure if she's a prostitute or it's just a free spirit or whatever.
Yeah, okay, I
Go
got
into,
it.
So yeah, but then and it's funny, sometimes she turns on the charm to get what she wants, but like to get out of prison, she doesn't agree to like have sex with the guy. So it's like she kind of,
Not at the beginning. Later on, she tries to connive them into the one
well,
guy anyway.
yeah, but in the beginning with the guy who has her sign the contract, I guess he's the police chief or whatever. He offers, I can like make this go away if you.
Yeah, and he grabs her boob or
And she's like,
something.
"Not that you disgust me." So it's weird. Anyway, so they're when they're driving to the prison on the back of a truck, they're all the girls are sitting there, and it's like they're going on an outing. They pull into
They're waving at the guy, the cane
they're
worker.
waving, and
Hi, we're hot chicks.
they're still dressed in their prostitute outfits and the high heels and stuff. And I'm like,
I know. It's a silly movie. It's funny though.
yeah. So there's one
So
scene where before they get to the cab, the truck has to stop for a second. The girl escapes, and then two guards go after her and try to rape her. And then the tough black chick Simone, she goes down and she entices to stop the girl from being raped. She entices the guard into the sugar cane, and then they obviously they had sex, but it's like, okay, I kind of know where this is going.
yeah. And then they give the girls like the two guards. One of them the guy with the mustache. That's Albert Cole from the Incredible Two-Headed Transplant. He was the guy on the other. He was the one guy was. I don't know if we did that movie or not. The one with it wasn't the one with Ray Milland. It was the other one. But he was the criminal that was put on the head of some big kind of like slow guy or whatever. And
Yeah,
Albert Cole, he's a sleaze bag. He's funny as heck, and
yeah,
they're
he is.
giving him like their machetes and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
so it's I guess a store which they have to buy their food or clothes and
You know what
supplies.
it remind me of? I don't know if you've done it. Maybe you had this in your school. Did you have the school store where
Oh
if you
God, yeah,
remember the school
yeah,
store?
that's what it reminded me of. And they got paid in pesos. I guess they were in Mexico. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably.
and it's like, well, how much do we? Oh, well, on payday, we'll get your tab. So they don't know what they're paying for, how
Yeah.
much it is. And in the end, I think, most of them either have no money left or, after they pay up for their clothes and stuff. And of course, they're all in like
Hot pants and
tops and
tank
hot
tops.
pants, and they have a machete. This is funny. It's supposed to be like a prison thing, and they arm everybody with machetes.
Yeah.
So it's like a prison break seems imminent, and there's nothing that seems to keep any. Well, the men, because there's men working there too, they're all
Yeah.
chained at the ankle. But the women, I mean, they seemingly can come and it almost looks like they can just walk into. Well, we find out why they
Yeah,
can't.
you find out why later
Yeah,
on. Yeah, yeah, you find out why. Yeah, but anyway. So then around this time, that Dr. John, not the night tripper,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the other Dr. John, and he's like some, he's some, he's some bizarro mad scientist ish doctor, mad scientist pervert doctor
Yeah.
who likes to experiment on the women or whatever, and it gets silly as heck. But he likes sweet sugar, but she doesn't
Yeah.
particularly like him. But I think the blonde girl Pamela Collins, I think she expresses interest in the guy because I think she was supposed to be like underage in the movie or
Yeah,
something
she's
like that.
17. That's her name was Dolores. Yeah, that's the one who yeah, she goes up to him. I'm only 17 and I was signed to come here, and he looks and well, you were signed off by your uncle. So I guess there was supposed to be some backstory that was never fleshed
It's
out.
just funny that I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. The thing with sweet sugar, could you actually be put in jail for 2 years for smoking a joint?
Back then they would put you in prison if you had a joint.
Ugh,
I think there's still people serving prison sentences for marijuana
for
possession.
smoking pot? Wow.
Yeah, so back then, I know it's
Especially nowadays,
yeah, but
So anyway, what happens
well,
next?
that's because
Doctor
marijuana gateway drug.
Dr. John asks for sugar to. He wants to see sugar, right? That's the next
Right.
scene, and she shows up, and he's
Yeah,
in the bath. He's having a bubble bath.
and then they always do this in movies. Whenever somebody's in a bubble bath or they're shaving, they have soap on them. Then they just start. They don't rinse off. They start drying off. Well, like this, don't you like rinse the soap off?
But then he starts. Then we start getting double entendres. He goes, "Well, what do you think of? Do you think we can reduce the length of? I don't know." He said some crap about his thing or something, and she's like, "Yeah, it is what it is, but no, I don't want it." So he gets pissed off. He does. I think he does soak down a little bit. So whatever. I don't know. It's just a stupid scene.
Yeah, it is.
Oh god.
I guess it's supposed to show that he's interested in her, and when she turns him down, he turns antagonistic. So then
Yeah,
around,
he's like gets petulant.
yeah, the guy Borgo,
Yeah, he's a heavy duty guard. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
mean
that's
guard.
Cliff Osmond, who's been in a lot of
He's a lot of westerns.
yeah, and he usually plays either uh, like evil guys or like sort of gentle, giant, quiet guys.
And the Dr. John, I think his first name is Angus. I just forgot his last name. A
Angus
lot of
Duncan, yeah,
television. A
yeah,
lot of
Angus,
television.
yeah, a lot of television. His
He's
hair,
born in Sweden, but
his hair looked like you could like lift it off and place it somewhere
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
I know. It
like
looks
so
fakey.
stiff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looked like a living Ken doll.
So anyway, the doctor then decides he brings in the other girls, and he wants to conduct experiments on them, horny experiments or
Right.
whatever. So he gets sugar in there and he gives her some like I don't know some injection or
Yeah,
wata, and
this is supposed to be some chemical in their fertility rights,
yeah, something like
and
that.
he did that he like took the needle and squirted it out to I guess to get the air out. You see that in all
Yeah,
movies where they're giving somebody an injection, but you've never seen it done in real life. If you go to the doctor or the nurse,
They don't
they
do
never
that when you go to the
take
doctor.
it.
'Cause I don't look, man. I'm just turning my head. They don't do that.
Oh, they don't do that at all. And in fact, I
Oh.
asked someone, and they're like, "Nah, we don't. They don't have to do that. That's just."
Well, because I think supposedly if you didn't do that back then, you could like some air bubble would get in there and maybe, I don't know, give
I
you a
think it
heart
was
attack.
also. I think it's also to show the needle and
Yeah,
like a cinematic thing. So he
yeah, that's
gives
true.
her the injection and he hooks her up to something, and she starts having a reaction like she's having sex, and then an orgasm and stuff. And then the machine is, going higher and higher. And then it hits the red zone, then it explodes. And then he gets all pissed off and he yells at his servant Wolfgang
Yeah,
to
yeah, right. Wolfgang,
to get out of the room. He gets rid of Patty Davis and
not Patty Davis, but Phyllis Davis. Patty
Phyllis
Davis
Davis.
would be Reagan's daughter.
A different movie.
Different movie.
It's not.
But she's so horned up, she blows the machine up.
Yeah, and it's almost like they tried to set him up as a mad doctor.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly it. Like a horny
they
mad
didn't really
doctor.
take it anywhere. It's supposed to be a woman in prison movies. They didn't really take it there. They just,
It's a hybrid.
yeah, it's a horrible hybrid too.
Anyway, so then the doctor brings the young blonde in. I think he has sex with her. I
Yeah, I
believe.
think he rapes her, and she's supposed to be all innocent and stuff. And
Yeah,
he's
because yeah,
told
there's
her
a
like,
scene
oh,
that.
did a man ever touch you like this? And it doesn't show the rape, but she comes back and she's all, disheveled and out of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But then it's payday, and then you see the two guys. There's Albert Cole. His name's Max, and then you have James Houghton. I guess that's his name. Is Rick, and they're
yeah. He's
going.
like some horny virgin guy or something. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
so Albert Cole is some horny guy, and always trying to get. Rick is young and innocent, and he's always trying to help Rick get laid. So like he sells him a Swedish sex book. That's other things and stuff. So it's payday, and then you see the women. They get their wages, and then they have to pay uh, uh, off their bill, and they come away with, like I said, either nothing or like 1 pesos.
Yeah, right, right. They start deducting for stuff at the
Yes,
very end or
and
whatever. So.
then there's a big bonfire, and all the women are around, and the guy playing drum. I guess they're guards or something. They're playing drums and music, and then they bring in the the male inmates who were all shackled.
Yeah, right. One of them is Timothy Brown, a Mojo.
Bojo.
And that guy, Timothy Brown, was a football player. He was also in MASH, and he was also in like a couple of an Al Allison movie called Dynamite Brothers, and he did a few things. He was a pretty good actor. Mojo, what a name.
Yeah, but I know. And he has some special voodoo powers. And
Yeah, yeah, something like that, which he uses later. Yeah.
he and Dolores get together, and then they like go off in the woods to have sex. And then Sugar with some big blonde guy, I forget his name.
Yeah, he looks like
They
Marjo Gortner or something.
Yeah, something like that. They go off and they sneak off to go have sex, and they go to the doc's house, and they're
Yeah,
taking
because they see the doctor leaving, so they figure, hey, let's go in there and get it on or whatever.
yeah, and they're taking a bubble bath, and then they're in his bed having sex. And I'm thinking, wouldn't you like? What are you gonna make the bed afterwards? And it's like it just seemed like a weird. It was only there for them to get caught. And then there's also a skinny dipping scene where two girls go, Dolores and
Well,
some.
one of them is Pamela Collins or whatever. So that's the obligatory, lesbian love scene or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, they take off their clothes and you see some side boob, and then they're in the water, and then they go over by the waterfall, and then they start kissing and stuff. That's the scene my wife walked in on. So then Doc returns, and he catches the Sugar and the blonde-haired guy in bed. So the next day, Sugar's like chained up with her arms, between two poles, and then the foreman, uh, Burgos, says, here, you whip her.
Yeah, well, Burgos gets one whip in, and then he
Yeah,
tells the
and like,
guard.
no, I'll do it. And then, the blonde guy refuses to whip her, says, I can't whip her. So then Burgos takes out his gun and like shoots him like 20 times.
Yeah.
And then he starts whipping her, and she comes back from the whipping. She doesn't seem worse for the wear, but she sits down, and then for some reason all the women are mad at her and they won't let her eat.
Yeah, they're pissed off at her because I guess they're all getting, because of what she did, they may have gotten reprimanded or something, or they maybe have gotten less food. Anyway, yeah, they're pissed off at her. Yeah.
But then Sugar tries to escape. They're
Yeah.
out cutting sugar cane, and if you see them cutting sugar cane, they're just like waving the machete around. They're not really doing anything,
Yeah.
So she escapes, and she passes by a mountain lion, and she's talking all soft and gentle to it, and the mountain lion's growling at her.
Another goofy scene. Yeah.
I guess that's to show how dangerous the jungle is. So then
And how sexy she is if she could tame a
yes.
mountain lion.
So then she's running around, and
She's pretty hot though, but.
yes, she is. Burgos and some other guy are looking for her, and they're driving around. She falls into a trap by her ankle and gets strung up, and they cut her down, and they have her and a bunch of other of the women like Dolores and Simone and some other women and they're
This is my favorite scene.
yeah, they're in like a caged area. So then Dr. John comes in, and he's like, this is another drug from the jungle where it turns people into their base animalistic thing. So he injects a cat, and the cat, kind of docile, and sometimes like, hissing and
Yeah,
biting.
he's all like angry and stuff.
And
Yeah.
then he has the guards bring another cats, and then they like take the cats out of the cage
And they
start
toss
throwing
them.
the cats on the ground. And supposedly the cats are scratching them all up. But when you see the scene, there's some cats just sitting there, other cats walking around. But and then the women are holding a cat and like they're fighting it, and the cat's just like, what the hell's going on? So then Burgos tells Dr. John, "Oh, we better cut it out because we need them to work in the field and stuff." So then they're walking this. Oh yeah, they're walking back or something, and Simone blames Patty Davis for everything that's going on. So she pushes her in the water.
Phyllis Davis.
Phyllis Davis. Oh, Jesus.
Sugar. Give Patty
Sugar. I'll say
Davis.
sugar. Okay, I'll say sugar.
Patty Davis. You got. Oh man. It's not Patty Davis. It's not even Karen Allen. It's Phyllis Davis, or Sugar, or Sweet Sugar.
Sugar. So they're fighting, and then they're in the shower. Somehow they're in the shower.
Yeah, to show boobs.
Yeah, and I forget what they do in the shower. Oh, they're planning to escape.
Yeah, Sugar and Pamela Collins, the blonde, are planning to escape. Yeah.
Right, and then there's a scene where that Albert Cole sells the sex book to Rick, and Rick, that's the Swedish sex secrets. But then Dolores comes on to Rick to steal his gun, and
then I think the next scene is like Sugar cuts a deal with Timothy Brown. She says, "Look, I'm going to pass out. I want to escape. I want to go to the border or something like that." So she passes out, and like I think Burgos said, "Well, we got to do something with her." And he goes, "We'll take her." I think Mojo says, "We'll take her to the lake, and that'll she's dehydrated or something. I don't know."
So then Mojo does a voodoo ritual. And he sees that she has a cross on a leather thing, and he says, "Oh, that belonged to somebody." So then he does a voodoo ritual, and Phyllis Davis, she's wearing the cross, and she gets drawn to this unmarked grave, which has I don't know, a bunch of bodies in there, skulls and stuff. So then they go to Doc John, and they're saying, "You got to give us these conditions, make it less difficult for us to work or whatever." He goes, "Oh yeah, and what do you do if I don't?" And they pull out the skulls and they say, "All right, next time the government official comes by."
Yeah, that's right. Because earlier on, an official came in just on the first day they were there and asked, "Is everything okay? Be treated properly?"
Right.
And they're like, "Yeah."
So, and I'm thinking, how is this working? I mean, all I had to do was have the guards take the bones away from them, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's just a lot of
And
plot holes in this.
yeah, what happened to the gun that the blonde girl has? Where's the guy gun? Didn't the guy miss his gun? You know, but
Yeah, no, it's not.
yeah,
And
I
he
know.
had it in the later scene. Sugar steals the gun.
She just steals the gun again. Yeah. Unless they
So
cut
anyway,
something out of the movie, I don't know.
they're at a party, and the
He-
Albert Coles gets a bunch of. He tries to get Rick to go with Sugar, uh, and then he sort of convinces these guys, hey, he's going to have sex with her, so I'll set you up where they go, and then you can watch them, and because he's always trying to make a buck.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
every
yeah.
once in a while, he's had this like long raincoat on, and he's like selling them liquor and whatever. This is some prison, by the way.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is a really professional prison here.
Yeah. So at this again, it's like a nighttime party around the bonfire, and then Mojo gets up and he starts dancing with Sugar for some reason.
They're doing some sexy dance or
Yeah,
something.
and he's like doing some kind of like talking about some voodoo god or whatever. And then not Dolores, Simone gets jealous, so she attacks Patty Davis, and there's a fight, and they break it up. And then Sugar goes off with Rick, and then they start making out and stuff. And then um, Simone and Mojo go into the jungle to make out, and then suddenly they trip a wire or something. This cow head.
Yeah, I didn't know what that's all about. What was that all about?
I don't know, but like Mojo says, "Oh, this is some kind of warning from Dr. Brown."
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
right? It's that? And then he has a knife, and instead of keeping the knife, he throws it, and it like lands in
In a tree or something,
but
right?
I'm like, wouldn't you want to keep the friggin' knife to help you escape?
Yeah.
So then there's uh,
Well, Sugar goes to see. They're gonna try to escape, and she goes to the. She sees the horny guard there,
well,
and
first
she
there's a
tries.
scene where Mojo says, "I have to go somewhere." Well, I have
Yeah,
because they're trying to escape. So
they're trying to
Mojo
escape. Yeah.
gonna go by himself, and then Simone wants to go with him. Says, "No, I got to do it myself." And then he performs another voodoo ritual, and then then a guard catches him, and they start fighting. And then Mojo's captured, and he's brought to the, I guess somewhere in the compound, and the doctor burns him alive.
Yeah.
And then they're in the commissary uh, talking. Well, they're in the commissary, and they're like
Talking. Yeah.
in all the women who want to escape are at one table, and then Burgos comes in and he says, "All the women here are the ones causing all the trouble and why you're getting treated so bad and stuff." And then I don't know if it's Simone or Patty Davis. Somebody cuts off his because he's
Phyllis
got
Davis.
what did I say? Sugar,
Patty. Sugar. Just say sugar.
sugar cuts off his fingers, and then there's a big fight scene there, and
Oh yeah, that's right. She cuts off. She had a machete or something on her or
yeah,
something.
and then the girls, they're escaping, and they start. Some of the girls go to set fire to the sugar cane, And then
The fire department shows
yes,
up.
shows up, and then Sugar goes um, to the doc's house to get Simone because Simone's in a cage, suspended over fire, and the doctor's there.
Yeah,
You know,
she's getting burned because she cut
getting,
off Cliff
yeah,
Osmond's Ormond's fingers or whatever.
that's right. So she was the one who cut off his fingers.
Yeah.
So then, she helped.
So then the girls broke in. I think did they have guns when they broke in there or not? I think they did, right? Didn't they take
They
guns
had the
from?
one gun from
Yeah.
the guy Rick. So then, Sugar frees Simone, and they take the doctor hostage, and he goes up and he starts acting all goofy and weird, like he's not all there. And then they're trying to find a way to, and they're looking in his desk or something. And then Burgos comes in with a gun, and they drop the gun. He says drop the gun. So Sugar drops the gun, and then Burgos tells the doc to pick up the gun, and the doc goes, oh god, my cat's throwing up. Oh boy. So Burgess tells the doc to pick it up, and the doc goes, "Oh, I'm not supposed to touch guns," and he picks it up by the handle and gives it to Burgess. And then Sugar starts wrestling fights, and she grabs a sword off the wall
And she impales
Burgess.
Burgos.
And then all and there's fire all around, and all hell's breaking loose. The fire trucks are there, and then
Sugar and them go into the where the rifles are and to escape or whatever.
yeah, and so then they meet Rick, who's supposed to help them escape. He thinks he's just going with Sugar, but
right, exactly, yeah.
So they get Simone has the doc hostage, and she has a gun on him, and she's in a Jeep, and the rest of the girls
they get in a truck, don't they?
get in the truck, and then Sugar has a machine gun. So the guards are outside, and they're blocking them, and they say, "All right, come out, with your hands up." And Phyllis says, "All right." So then they open the garage doors, and the guards start shooting, and Phyllis Davis is on there, and she's machine gunning all the guards.
And she kind of talked. Did she talk? She kind of talked at the Albert Cole and the horny guy to man the truck, I believe. Or she.
Well, he wants to go too because he's like, yeah, things are getting weird and bad around here.
Yeah.
He wants to leave too, and so then there's
it's like a big shootout.
Yeah, big shootout and stuff, and then
so Simone and the doctor in another car, and Sugar and all the girls are in the truck leaving.
Right. So then I don't know if Simone gets shot.
She gets shot, yeah.
Yeah, she gets shot, so she crashes the Jeep in front of the gates to the sugarcane farm, and Dr. John is like going off the wall, claiming he's immortal and he's crazy.
Yeah, right.
So Simone shoots him, then she shoots the gas jerry can, and the
whole
Jeep
thing blows up,
and it blocks the guards from coming. So they're driving away. So then Rick and Albert Cole are there, and they're discussing like, well, who's gonna sleep with?
Yeah, because they broke through the border. They went. I guess it's Mexico. They broke through
went from Mexico to whatever south of Mexico.
Yeah.
And so they're arguing, well, who's gonna
do who?
Who's gonna do sugar? And so they get there, and the back of the truck's kind of empty, except there's a big tarp there. And so Dolores comes up, and she's like, "Oh, Sugar's not here." And they're like, "Where's Sugar? Hey, what do you mean?" He said, "Oh, she jumped off a while ago." And I thought there were more girls on the truck, but I guess not.
Yeah, I guess they all took off, but basically she goes, yeah, Sugar took off, but the blonde one's there, and she's got a gun, right, or something?
Yeah, something like that. And and they're like, well, what is she gonna? How is she gonna survive? Oh, she'll find a way, something like that. And then you see Sugar walking down in this big crowded city. She's walking down the street with two guys on either side of her, arm in arm, and so it's like, well, she went back to her old ways, and the end.
Yep. 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 Oh boy, what a movie!
This
It's I
movie
think
was
I think
made,
it's a I think it's not it's a half a comedy anyway. You know what I mean? It's an action movie, and there's blood and guts and boobs, but it's really a comedy because I think somebody said, you know what, nobody's going to take this seriously, so let's camp it up a little bit. You
yeah,
know?
it was riding the wave of there was so many similar movies like
Yeah,
this.
there's a lot of Big Bird Cage and the Big and Black Mama, White Mama. There's a lot of women in prison movies in the early '70s.
And let's show naked women, guns and explosion,
Yeah, exactly.
violence and action. It was just it was.
I think
And
I think the movie The Big Bird Cage was a hit for Corman because if I remember correctly, Corman they decided to do a women in prison movie, and I don't know if they did it in the Philippines or not, I don't remember, but he had Jack Hill, one of his guys, directors, to go there and shoot it. When they brought it back, Corman was like, "Wow, this movie's pretty intense. I don't know if I don't know if we should release it." And of course, Roger Corman is not going to stop releasing it. And when it became a big hit,
yeah,
then Dimension Pictures, which is the ones who made this movie, were former. A lot of the people that worked for Dimension were former Corman associates, so they knew how to make these. Especially Stephanie Rothman, who was like involved with Dimension Pictures, she knew how to make these movies. So they had all the, she had all the whatchamacallit, all the ideas and all the setups and the cat fights, the lesbian scenes, the boobs, the blood and guts. They knew how to make a movie. They knew how to make this kind of movie anyway. So
these were movies that played in drive-ins and
basically, or
cheap
42nd
dollar
Street.
theaters.
You
Yeah,
could have
this
seen
was
this in 42nd Street back in '72 when you were
yeah,
what,
probably
12?
yeah.
But yeah, and and these movies, they cost not much probably, and they turned a profit. So they had all the things. Lee Corman later on, after this genre, it never fizzled out, but and then he decided to do movies based on the student nurses, the sexy nurses, the this nurse. So that was his next gimmick or whatever, and then it became the cheerleader movies. That was the next one. The
Uh,
women in prison movie was a little rougher than the other two, but they definitely had a formula going on to them or whatever.
so whatever movie came out that was popular, like when Star Wars came out,
A
suddenly you
lot of movies.
saw a lot of space war movies.
Battle Beyond the Sun,
Yeah,
Star Crash.
yeah.
It's
And
like
everybody there were either robots or guards in these
it
helmets
was
with
it was like
their
okay,
face.
Dirty Harry movie comes out, Italians
Yeah,
make a bunch of Dirty Harry movies. The Exorcist comes out, they start making Exorcist
yeah.
knockoffs or whatever. Zombie movie comes out, they start making a bunch of zombie movies.
So they
Same
ride the
thing. If
yeah,
a movie becomes a hit and it's exploitive, Roger Corman and associates were always there to, do a
extra.
more extreme, more, whatever version of it. And, it would be in your drive-in or in your grindhouse or whatever.
Yeah. And they were filmed on the cheap.
Big
And
time.
yeah, and so even it would easily make its money back.
There
You
was
know.
also the black exploitation thing
Yeah,
back then. We started doing like Blackula or all the whatchamacallit,
yeah. Pam Grier movies,
Pam
Coffee.
Grier, yeah, yeah, that was the other thing that was going on, kind of like at the same time. But Pam Grier was also in women in prison movies, so she
Yeah,
did she was an action star
yeah. She
back
was an
then.
actress.
So
Yeah, yeah,
you
exactly.
know, and they always had everything to appeal to everybody. They had the black. This movie had the black exploitation element. They had the brunettes, the blondes, the hot chicks. They had, like we
Yeah,
said before, the lesbian scene. They had all the elements that were there to quote unquote titillate the
yeah,
viewer are there in these movies, and they're action movies, and they're silly. Oh, the other one that was from around that time was Caged Heat. That had Barbara Steele in it, and that was a Corman movie, and that was a little more. That wasn't. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't think it was a comedy, but it definitely was. it had political overtones. This did not have any political overtones. It was just straight silly, fun, whatever, you know. It wasn't that gory. It was kind of sexy, you know. It was silly, sleazy for sure, and yeah, you know. Anyway, we better get going because we're past an hour. So, Sweet Sugar, check it out. It's on YouTube. I think you can buy it a Blu-ray for $17 on Amazon. If you like this kind of stuff, it's prime example of silly women in prison
goofy
things or whatever.
exploitation movies.
Beautiful girls, you know,
Stuff.
the whole 9 yards. Silliness, mad doctors, whatever. You know, it's a good example of it.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another movie, maybe another. Well, we'll see what happens. You know.
We'll see.
I think maybe we should stay in this territory for a little while because they are kind of funny and stupid. But anyway,
fun, and they're easy to watch.
They're easy to watch. You know, some of these other movies you watch are fun, but they kind of get turgid after a while. So anyway, we're back in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, Roddy.
In the meantime, watch more movies.